All right, here we are. Hi, welcome to Coffee Talk Tuesday. We're outside.
Yes, it's such a beautiful day. We're just waiting for spring, and look at that sunny.
Well, we woke up with a layer of snow on the ground again, and we just can't wait for spring.
No.
But here we are protesting the weather.
Hey, enjoying the sunshine, ignoring the cold.
It is cold. If you're new to our channel, this is Once Upon a Motorhome, and this episode is an episode of Coffee Talk Tuesday that we do where we're just talking about anything that's on our mind, and we'd like to share it with you. So don't forget to subscribe. So I'm going to drink my coffee and let you start talking.
All right, well, so ever since becoming parents, our lives changed completely. Like, they couldn't have changed more. It's like we went from being adults that could decide about doing whatever they wanted in the day.
Adults, but we felt like kids, right?
Well, I don't think so.
I did.
Looking back, it feels like we were such kids.
Right. Back then we felt like adults, but
Right.
in retrospect, no, we were just kids. I hope it's like that for everybody. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, anyways, so, we were having this magical ability of like deciding what we want to do in a day, leave, like literally say, hey, you want to go grab a coffee? And leave within, 2 minutes of the making of the decision.
Right.
And stuff like that,
Right.
So becoming parents like completely changed our life. In many aspects. And we thought it would be really fun to kind of share our experience with what it was like becoming parents at all, and then having the transition from having one child to two and from two to three. Just kind of like share our experience, what we felt was the easiest and the hardest transition, and you guys are welcome to tell us what it was like for you.
Okay. Can you see in there? There he is. Oh, he's sleeping. Little Teddy.
It actually is good packing snow.
There's Sammy. Hi, Sammy.
Hi.
Hi, Theo. What are you doing? Plowing the snow. I just wanted to film our kids for a second because we haven't shown them in the last few videos, and so I wanted you to see them. They're doing good.
And they're growing so fast. It's like, every day I look at them and they're so much bigger, and stay a little bit longer.
I know.
That would be great.
All right, so we're talking about the transitions between the having no kids to having one, and then having one to having two, and then from having two to having three. Which transition was the easiest for us?
Having Sammy literally changed our life. It changed everything I knew and everything I was used to doing, just everything. Because, we went from this childless couple that could do anything and everything, and we made decisions on the spot a lot, and we were very spontaneous, to having a baby. And Sammy was a very, very demanding baby. And so right away, it's like I felt like my freedom was just completely taken away. Literally, he was the kind of baby that would not let you set them down for a second. And so it was just quite a big shock, to going from this, I can do chores and I can go out and I can do anything and everything, take a shower anytime I want, this kind of stuff, to feeling like I was chained down to the couch and nursing a baby 24/7. And I'm exaggerating a lot here with the 24/7. It was probably 22 and a half. He was very demanding when he was a newborn, but it's like I was so happy to have him, and I was very, very much in love. So I'm not complaining here. It was just, I'm talking about how my life has completely changed. And it was a shock, sort of like a shock to the system. Like, before you have kids, everybody's like, oh, make sure you take time for yourself, like take a bath or a shower whenever you want, read a book, lay on the couch and watch a show, whatever. And you're like, yeah, I'm doing all these things. But then when you finally have a baby, you realize how much of a luxury those become. And so that was the way it was with Sammy. And that was a humongous transition to our lifestyle, and one we're very grateful for.
Then when we had Theo, it was difficult too. I mean, the transition of having one child, who was a 2-year-old at the time, to having a newborn That was challenging because Sammy was still so young that he still needed so much attention. He still needed somebody to play with all the time. He couldn't really play by himself a lot, you know? And then there was the added responsibility of having a newborn who depends on you for everything. So it took a little while, you know, to find the right rhythm and to settle into life again.
All right, so what about going from 2 babies to having 3?
Well, now that was easy peasy. Not quite, but when we found out we were expecting Teddy, I was feeling so much more at ease because, well, for one thing, we already knew how to have a baby, deal with a newborn, and also adding another child to our family. So all these things I felt a lot more at peace about, you know, like compared to the first time when I didn't know much about taking care of a newborn and all these things. So that's additional stress. So in this case, I felt really confident about it, and I felt like this time we can absorb adding a new baby to our family a lot easier. In that right then, when Teddy was born, we had a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and so they together played a lot. So we didn't have, like with Sammy, like John said, we had to devote a lot of attention to him because he didn't have anybody else. Whereas this time around, Sammy was helping Theo. He was playing with him a lot and staying occupied. And so there was not as much of a demand on us. We could tend to Teddy a lot, and then we could... and then we have to take a moment.
My one's so wet.
Your face is all wet. Did you fall into a puddle? And so to me, I think because of these things, that was the easiest transition that we had. Adding the 3rd child to our family was much easier than any of the ones before. What do you think? Was that the easiest one for you too, John?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely the easiest transition was from having 2 to having 3. It's because it's like, you know, we already had 2, so what's one more, right? It's like I feel like if we have even more kids that they'll just be easier and easier as we have more. It sounds weird saying that, but it seems like the more you have, the easier it gets, which is kind of backwards, but
Well, maybe those of you who have more than 3 children can let us know if that's the truth. If adding another child, the 4th one, and so on, was easier than the first 3.
yeah, definitely let us know about that because we are curious.
Not hinting at anything.
No, we're not hinting.
Now, which do you think was the hardest one?
Ooh, let's see. The hardest transition, not the hardest child.
Yes.
Just keep that in mind.
Yes, the hardest transition.
I would have to say probably the first one.
Yeah.
You know, definitely. I would say that the first one was the hardest and they got progressively easier after that. Just because you live so long being your own person, and then when you have a kid, you just get uprooted. Your whole life just turns upside down. Basically, it's a joy. It really is a joy.
Yes.
It's a sacrifice. And it's totally worth it.
Yes, it is. We're not trying to discourage any of you who might be watching it and not having kids. It's really the biggest blessing that you can have in your life, and yeah, it comes with some sacrifices, but the blessings just completely, absolutely outweigh the sacrifices.
Yeah, it's a joy every time we look at them and see them interacting and learning new things. They're just, you know, we're just blown away by by them individually, and we love them so much. And
yes.
so how about you? What was the hardest transition for you?
I think that there should be a distinction. For me, it's like there's a little distinction, like the hardest in that it was the biggest change to my life. It definitely would be the first one. Adding Sammy, like you said, you know, our life completely changed. In difficulty level, I would say it was adding the 2nd child. And that suddenly I had to still take care of another clingy baby. We really lucked out on those. But with Sammy, I could just sit and nurse him just fine, however much he wanted. With Theo, he wanted to sit there and nurse and be held, but I had to tend to Sammy. A lot of the time, I just have to set the baby down in the bassinet for a minute to go tend to Sammy, so then Theo would start screaming, and so it was a little bit more stressful in that. So a little bit hard in that aspect. So depends on what you're asking. If the biggest change, that would be the first child. If you're asking about what was the hardest in terms of difficulty, it would be the second one.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Yeah, so we'd really like to hear your thoughts on this subject.
Yes.
So post them down below, and don't forget to subscribe
No.
because we're posting new videos every week. So gotta look out for those, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. And look, it's starting to snow. I can't believe it.